It's time for From the Short Grass with Trey Schaap, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around trying to put it in a 4 1/4-inch diameter hole. From the Short Grass is brought to you by Stevens Incorporated, an independent financial services firm with the freedom to focus on what matters most. Blackman Auctions. For over 80 years, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. We partner with you to deliver high-yield results by managing, developing, and investing in top-quality hospitality assets. And now, from the Short Grass, here is your host, Trey Schaap.
Welcome to another edition of From the Short Grass. I am your host, Trey Schaap. The PNC Championship goes to the Singhs. Vijay Singh and his son Quas, in their 16th try, win the PNC Championship, and they were the first team to ever shoot both rounds under 60. 59-59 for a minus 26 left them 2 shots ahead of Team Daly and Team Thomas. Justin Thomas and his father, and Big John Daly and Little John Daly, if you will. Little John, of course, playing for the Arkansas Razorbacks, and Brad McMakin in Fayetteville. Coming up on this episode of From the Short Grass, Santa Claus is here. Yes, Santa Claus, right before he makes that trek around the world delivering toys to all good little girls and boys, will join us on From the Short Grass. I want to tell you about Blackman Auctions. Since 1938, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. Find them on the web, blackmanauctions.com. You can find their upcoming auctions on there as well. They have a list of them. Blackman Auctions, one of our great sponsors of From the Short Grass. We're back with Santa Claus after this.
Heading to El Dorado to check out some live music or to play Mystic Creek? Stay at the Haywood, the only boutique hotel in the middle of downtown and the Murphy Arts District. If you are spending a weekend in Hot Springs, make plans now at the Marriott Courtyard close to Lake Hamilton and Oaklawn. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group manages both of these fine properties, and you will rest easy knowing that your every need is taken care of. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels on the web at bphotels.com.
Strength is measured not by the number of accounts. Strength is placing value on relationships. It's having the vision and the guts to invest in growth. It's the commitment to responsibly manage your money. At Stevens, we believe that our strengths build success, not only for us, but for our clients. Stevens, member NYSE, SIPC.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. You all know by now I'm not a good golfer, but my son loves the game and he and I have been playing more. I've got my score down to, I've quit playing a scramble on every hole. I'm using the bunker rake much less than I used to, and a lot of the time I hit my drives past the women's tee box. All of my success in golf can directly be tied to me listening to From the Short Grass. Without it, I would not be the golfer I am today. Trey, you owe me $20 for that. Trey knows golf, I know auctions. Come see us at blackmanauctions.com. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Short Grass. Well, it's a very busy time if you're at the North Pole, and we were able to find some time to have Santa come to the studios to record this podcast interview. So without further ado, on the tee, Santa Claus. Santa Claus, welcome to From the Short Grass. Glad you decided to come to Central Arkansas for a quick visit before you really have to get to work.
Well, you know, what we do, Trey, is there's a lot of Santa brothers, and we get out and we want to really get a feel from the people. Yeah, we do get letters, but we really like to get out and talk with folks and see people. And you usually can tell the real Santa brothers, they have real beards. If you see these folks, and with all due respect, they're fine folks, but these little Walmart suits with, a beard you can literally see through, then, and they're not part of the group.
You kind of have to question those guys sometimes.
Yeah, you do. We have an organization, International Brotherhood of Real Bearded Santas. So folks in that organization, they do a fine job. And so people sometimes, they say, well, I need a a Santa for a party, and we get a lot of intel. You know,
would that be the IBRBS?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, what we do is we really try to work with folks and find out what's hot, what's not, and we try to forecast so the elves are making the right toys.
Exactly.
And it's like, you know, I hate to say it, it's become a big business, and so you know, we want to make sure we're turning out good quality stuff, and it should say made in the North Pole, but you know, sometimes they don't put the stickers on, but that's okay. I don't get upset with them. They've got a lot to do in a short period of time.
No doubt about that. I want to ask you before we get into, you know, what are the hot items this year that you are getting requests for when it comes to golf, but let's first talk about your golf game. With it being as cold and as white at the North Pole that it is almost year-round, I know there are some days where you can actually see the ground.
Right.
But how often are you able to really get out and play the game?
Well, we've tried that. Even using the color balls, you know, people say, "Oh yeah, get some of those," and well, that went well for a while, but we'd lose them, and they'd go in the snow, and the reindeer couldn't even find them. So I built a little putting course inside my house. And I will say I have a really good short game, but my long game it's for the birds. I mean, I can't hit it to save my life. I can hit it, but I can't find it, so I don't know really what kind of distance I really have.
I could understand that. Being able to work on the short game inside the house where it's nice and warm, you could get really good at making putts.
Yes, you know, it gives me an opportunity. You know, there's still some of those little putt-putt courses and things like that around the country. And so when we're out and about, sometimes, you know, we may get together and play a little. But, you know, we really have a short window to try to get good information. And what we're doing is looking forward to 2023 in regards to the toys. And same goes for, you know, golfers. We'll be looking at the kind of stuff they're using, and you know, you can go by a golf course and, you know, pick up a little bit of information. Usually, you know, find a 19th hole and you listen to everybody talk about their game and make notes.
A little reconnaissance, if you will.
Right. It's important that you've got to have that information.
When I think of you being a good putter, it might be time to bring you back in the summer as a scramble partner.
Perhaps. I do try to take a little vacation. I usually go to the sunny parts, try to get a little, well, I will say a little of the sun from more of the southern part of the world, as opposed to the sun we have up there. It's quite hot, and I burn real easy.
Yes, I could imagine that.
You know, Santa had red hair when he was little,
right?
And so got that complexion.
Yes, yeah. Of course. Yeah, you always have to wear sunscreen. SPF 5,000 up there.
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close.
When it comes to requests this year that you are getting, whether it be from little kids and letters, even bigger kids, as it pertains to golf, what type of clubs are most people asking for this year from Santa Claus?
Well, you know, there's always the driver. I mean, that seems to be whatever the hot one is. You know, I remember years ago you had the Big Bertha or whatever. You know, you hear all kinds of names, and of course I kept looking around for Bertha, but I never could find her. And so I finally was clued into the club, but they're always looking for the driver.
Right.
You know, I guess what you do, put them in quotes. But that is one thing everybody wants. They want to hit it little farther, and always would hit it long and straight. So I'd hear people out there, yeah, hit it long and straight, hit it long and straight. Okay. So, that's one thing. And, of course, the latest putters. I don't use one of those big, tall sticks. That one's a little hard for me even. I got used to using my own little putter, and I'm pretty happy with it. But are you supposed to put that under your chin or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
I got
no, you can't anchor now, and you got too much beard there.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. But that one always was a head scratcher to me. People are always looking for the latest in the rangefinders, things of that nature. There's some good buys out there on golf carts.
I was going to say, it seems like to me that some people that live close to a country club, they might want a golf cart for Christmas.
Very much so, very much so. And
with the sound system and lights and everything?
Yes. Oh, yes. I guess you could get some of John Daly's, some of his sportswear and do your seats. I mean, those things are bright.
Yeah.
But it is interesting when you look at what people have done to golf carts. And, it's just like cars, they just try to soup them up. But I've seen them with TVs, and I guess that way you can keep up with a golf tournament while you're playing golf. But, looking at the standards, they want to look at the newest ball that's come out. We've got new and improved, whether it's a Titleist or whoever, just use that name. But how have they improved it? This ball go farther, than any other ball. Well, I don't know that. I mean, I'm just going on their advertising, but it is interesting. That is always something. People got to have more balls.
Yes.
And, there's some folks that go through a sleeve on one hole sometimes, but
what about ball retrievers for those that go through a sleeve of golf balls in a hole because they've lost them in water or something?
Well, I guess you could take your child with you, and that's where they could learn about golf, and how you're supposed to hit it, But, now they've got some of these golf courses are real exotic, with, of course, always the Gators down in Florida or probably Louisiana and places like that. But, golf is a fun game. I look back all those years ago in Scotland and, when they were creating the game, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but somebody sent me a tape once of Robin Williams talking about how they made up golf, and I just sat back and laughed, and me and Miss Claus, we sitting there watching. I said, "Yeah, it's probably pretty much true. Like, okay, well, we're going to knock it in a hole, and then you can only do it in so many times." And I got real tickled at the man.
Yeah, but he was something else, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But, golf is an interesting game. It does help steady my hand when I'm driving. I've just, trying to do a very good job putting. And I just try to get farther and farther each time with the putt. Well, that works real well on my hands and keeps them fresh. Because you start getting a little arthritis as you get older,
Yeah, that happens.
Yep.
And holding on to the reins.
Oh, yeah.
Of the deer.
Yep. Reindeer are fascinating beasts themselves, and some of them get a little mind of their own.
Right. What is it like for you to watch the game from the North Pole? Are there specific tournaments that you are going to watch no matter what, like, say, the Masters or the U.S. Open, the British Open even?
Yeah, I always like to watch the British Open because of the terrain and just the, they've got some of the kind of weather that I face sometimes. Let's see here, Trey. It's 6 below zero out there right now in the North Pole. Just checking my information. So when they get that wind coming off the shores and stuff, it's really hard. I've always enjoyed watching the Masters, and some of those funny ones, like some of those pro-ams they have out at Pebble Beach. They've always been fun to watch. People like Bill Murray and some of these other guys get out there. I like watch those comedians. Man, I understand he's a pretty decent golfer, but I still have a hard time grasping the long game since I don't have one. That's one of those kind of things that does fascinate me. And then I look at some of these putts and I go, boy, these guys are pretty lousy. These guys are pros. I could have made that,
right.
But I tell you, it's just so much fun just sinking that ball in that hole.
Tiger Woods, when he was growing up, what type of things did he ask Santa for?
Tiger was unusual. Well, what do they call him? Phenom or whatever they call kids at that age. But he was something, and his dad always tried to make sure that he had the best of the best. But my recollection, I think he was the first one that wanted to have specially designed clubs for his size, and we assigned one of our better elves to make those clubs, and then each year we kept he wanted to improve it. So somewhere he's got a lot of clubs somewhere. I guess maybe his son got to use them, but he always wanted stuff special. I tell you, when you look at guys like, I'd say Arnold Palmer. He also was a kid wanting to have good quality stuff. The Bear, he's still wanting good clubs. But I guess everybody feels like, well, I've got the skill. I've just got to have the best equipment money can buy. And but a lot of these companies give them a lot of clubs because they want them to endorse their products. So
right.
I'm not making as many as I used to. Every once in a while I'll get a request, but again, it also comes back to the balls. They want something special, and so. I guess that pretty well carries it when it goes. Tiger I was always impressed with a young fella, and I understand his son's doing quite well.
I understand that too. His son is very good, out driving Tiger now. He admitted it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm not sure what is on Charlie's wish list this year, but maybe something, probably the best of the best.
I'll have to check with Bernard. He keeps up with all the lists and stuff. I have to assign it to somebody, and, all these kids started getting elves on the shelf, and I couldn't keep up with them. So that's Bernard's job.
Okay.
He communicates with all the elves and elves on the shelf. I have a hard time even saying that, elves on the shelf. But takes care of them, and of course, Mrs. Claus always helps her with the reindeer, trying to keep them in shape. In the off season, we try to get out and exercise as much as we can. But finally got, you've probably seen dogs do it. Well, I finally figured out a way to use one of those machines for the deer and put them on there and let them walk. So that tries to keep them healthy. Because they'll live a good life. Good life.
You've got a big night coming up. Are you ready?
I try to be ready every year, and I've got to confess that it's always right down to the last. I actually saw some children the other day, and I said, well, young man, what do you want for Christmas? And he goes, I don't know. I said, you don't know? I said, we're looking at, well, if I say 15 days, 14 days, whatever it was, I said, you better hurry up and make up your mind. And because, you may end up with just a red truck or, a green tractor. Always ask the kids, you want a tractor? I want a green one or a red one. Which one do you want? So. But some of these kids don't know. And, I'm always happy to come across a child that say, well, I just want to have want the family to be happy and have a good time. And that's always cheerful. Some years ago, Trey, I was actually in North Little Rock, and the last little boy in line, I was just like putting every piece of strength. I'd been there all day with these kids. And, young man, what do you want for Christmas? And he looked at me and says, Santa, he said, I just like a place to sleep.
Oh, wow. And
it turned out that he and his family had been sleeping on the street. So we were able to contact some folks, so they found a place. But I was at a local country club the other day, and I saw some people out there on the putting green, and I chuckled, It's like, well, that's always something you can do.
Yep.
That's always something you can do. I felt at home then, well, we're on a putting green.
No doubt about it.
So, no, but we're working at it, and, we'll be busy. And, all those folks on TV track us all the time and got us telling the kids where we are and where we're going to be. And so I always tell the kids, it's a Santa rule. We don't deliver until you're asleep. The song says it all. Santa's coming to town. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. So I know if you're if you're awake.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't deliver toys that just pass you by and come back later. And so I always appreciate the kids going to bed early on Christmas Eve so I can get my job done, go home, and have a big meal.
Best golf course Santa Claus has ever played?
Well, not bragging, but I have to say St. Andrews.
Wow.
There was a bunch of guys out there looking like me, and, like I say, my short game was good, but had a hard time. Boy, I tell you, get down one of those holes, it was something else. We don't have that, sometimes the reindeer will get out there and dig up a hole or something, But, that was a great time because there's a bunch of Scottish guys out there and they're all playing, so I just felt like I was one of them.
That's awesome. Yeah. Fantasy foursome, Santa Claus and three others, living or deceased, that you would like to play a round of golf with.
There's a young man that I met many years ago. In fact, he's from Arkansas. A young man, he's stopped playing. His name's Bryce Mulder. Fine young man. And one, he was very well, what's the word they call it, acclaimed or whatever when he was in college and did very well. I like to play with him and of course, Jack, we want to, and I don't know, I've always wondered about, playing with somebody like a Tiger with these guys. Would it be too competitive? I don't know, probably would be, but I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Santa, best of luck on your big night.
Well, thank you very much, Trey. I'm glad you asked me here, and just want to say, kids, remember, go to bed early on Christmas Eve. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
When your travels take you to Bentonville for a meeting with Walmart, a trip to Crystal Bridges, or the Walmart amp for a concert, make sure you book your stay at one of the top Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group properties. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group manages the Doubletree Suites, an all-suite hotel with tons of meeting space, and the Hilton Garden Inn, which has been newly remodeled rooms throughout the entire property. The best place to stay in Northwest Arkansas is a Beechwood Pinnacle Hotel Group property. Visit them on the web at bphotels.com.
This is Thomas Blackman with Blackman Auctions. The economy is changing slowly but surely. The market is slowing down in a gradual slide. Not an emergency yet, the sky is not falling, but a change is coming. When times are good, auctions make buyers compete to buy at the highest market value. When the economy gets tough, auctions force buyers to make a purchase decision. Either way, auctions get the highest return for a seller and a strong deal for a buyer. With an experienced auction company, it's a simple process. Go to blackmanauctions.com for more information. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Shortgrass. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. Matthew Allen, Blair Allen, they manage hotel properties, and they are the leaders when it comes to managing hotel properties here in the state of Arkansas. Find them on the web, bphotels.com. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels, a great sponsor of From the Shortgrass. On the tee, with our rules segment, here's PGA Master Professional Adam Carney.
Adam, this comes in from Katie in Russellville. She asked, are there classes that you can take on the rules of golf?
Absolutely. The USGA and the PGA of America together have rules workshops throughout the country, and they're posted on the USGA's website. If somebody really wanted to kind of get into the rules of golf, the first thing I would encourage them to do is first learn the definitions. Just take your time, read each definition and know the definition, and just stop right there for a little while and go out and play some golf and just kind of apply the definitions a little bit. And then read the rule book cover to cover. Okay? And then say, okay, yeah, I knew that one. Yeah, I knew that. Oh, okay, this is interesting. And then maybe from there you go and you read the interpretations. So whenever I would get ready to go to a workshop to take my exam, I would probably just read the decisions book at that time, cover to cover. They just go, and I might have 3 or 4 things that come up that go, oh, gotta remember that one, But the USGA also has sample tests that you could take
right
on their website, and you can set it up for beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Great way to test your rules knowledge. You can teach yourself. The guys that are working now full time as rules officials on tours or whatever, they've essentially got a law degree. I mean, you're really taking a book and I've known guys that you could say, hey, what's on page 47 of the rule book?
And they can recite it.
They can recite it. And say, oh, yeah, page 47 is rule number thus and such, and it says
Is it an open book test?
So the test is, ironically, it's 50 open book, 50 closed book. When you go to the open book portion of the test, go through and answer the 50 questions that you can answer without opening the book. If you go to look up answers that you already know the answer to.
Right.
But
you're just wasting time.
I'm just going to make sure I'm 99.9999% sure I'm right. Well, you're right. Just answer the question and move on.
Yeah.
I found that I only had to open the book for 10 or 12 questions.
Katie, it's a great question. And if you do go down and take a rules class somewhere, let us know about it. If you've got a question on the rules of golf, send us an email from theshortgrass@gmail.com.
That will do it for this edition of From the Shortgrass. I'll leave you with a couple of funny golf quotes. This gentleman says, I was 1 under today. 1 under a tree, 1 under a bush, and 1 under the water. Pretty funny. And this one, my worst day at golf still beats my best day at work. I think I can agree with that one. And then how about this one? If you think it's hard to meet new people, try picking up the wrong golf ball. Yes, then you would definitely meet someone. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I want to thank Wayne Cox for bringing Santa to the studio today so we could record this interview. Remember, when you find your ball mark on the green, fix it and a couple of more. And I hope to see you sometime soon From the Shortgrass.
You've been listening to From the Shortgrass, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network.